Hello and welcome to this course. My name is Ewan. I'll give you an introduction on me in a moment. Thank you for taking a chance on me. This is a course about maximizing your time whilst you're at university. The idea for this course came from a number of individuals on my TikTok lives, and quite often I have been receiving questions and prompts during these TikTok lives where someone will say, look, what should I be doing? What should I be doing from your point of view? What should I be doing now to maximize my time whilst I'm at university? And that has invariably got me on a soapbox saying, and then it's a few more people saying, okay, great, but what? Don't just say it. Don't just fire stuff at us. Where? How? What do you mean by that? So on TikTok Live, there's not really enough time to go into detail in a more formalized way to say what I'm thinking and why I think it's really important to invest your time effectively now whilst you're studying. So this is aimed at individuals who are in higher education. I suppose it's perfectly fine if you're doing A-levels or BTEC or the like. Certainly very relevant if you are an apprentice or doing a degree apprenticeship. However, the assumption I'm making is that you're in higher education full-time. Now, why I'm making that assumption is, and why I'm basing this course around that assumption is, when you're in higher education, such as if you're doing a degree, an undergraduate degree, there is time. Generally speaking, there is time in between your studies. There is time to do more than just attend classes and do your reading and do your coursework, right? There is extra time, and that's where a lot of the individuals who've been asking me, they've been saying, what should I be doing with that time? Well, here we go. So welcome to the course. I'm going to give you a whole set of overviews now, and feel free to reach out to me at any point with questions, queries, and so on. In a moment, I'm going to give you some context on me, my background, and the perspective on what I'm bringing to my viewpoints here that I'm going to give you. Then I'm going to take you through a viewpoint on the job market and the economy as it is at the moment, generally at the moment, because that does impact things, and that's I think a real reason why I'm getting those questions from TikTok Live. What should I be doing now? Because I think a lot of individuals can see that wall coming at them, right? That next step, and how can you be prepared most effectively for that next step of coming into a career? I've also added a chapter on preparing for an AI world, because I'm doing a lot of work in and around AI at the moment, and that's also a key focus from all of the questions I'm getting in these TikTok lives around from students thinking, what should I be doing? And if I take this role, will I have a job in 5 years? So we're going to address that. Then we're going to look at CVs. So that's a really important topic. Preparing your CV now, whilst you're at university. Yes, you'll need that if you're going to be submitting for internships and those kind of things, but I'll talk through CV. And look, I have another course if that's at all relevant. It's a 4-hour extravaganza of a course. Do check that one out. But I'll have a chapter on that coming. Then we'll talk through LinkedIn. Now, I think LinkedIn's very important, and in some cases quite misunderstood. There are a lot of comments I'm getting about from people in TikTok Live saying, "Oh, it's very cringe. Yeah, I don't use LinkedIn. I have a profile, but I don't use it. It's cringe." I hear you. I understand that perspective, but then I'm going to talk you through things that you might want to be looking at right now. Then I'm going to come to work experience, and that can be frustrating to hear for some students, because their view is obviously, look, wait a minute, I'm studying at the minute, right? I'm really focusing on studying, and yeah, it's difficult, I know, but I'll explain why I think work experience is at least as important. Maybe not quite as important, depending on what parents are thinking and what you might be thinking, and then graduate employers are thinking. But I want to take a view to discuss that in a bit more depth, because work experience is really important. And goodness me, the amount of individuals that I'm working with or meeting in TikTok and beyond, who they finished university, they have zero experience. But that's not viewed as a bad thing, right? Because they go, well, I don't have any experience. Cool, right? But unfortunately, all these other applicants do, and that's why you're not necessarily, in many cases, that's why you're not progressing. And I do see a lot of pain and extreme discomfort because these individuals, they could have used that 3-4 years a bit more effectively. Okay, we'll talk about formalized internships. We'll talk about finding relevant experience, which I actually prefer local relevant experience. I think that can be so valuable. We'll talk about how to get that local experience, typically with a startup or a local company. I'm then going to move on to university societies, because I think that's also somewhat misunderstood by many. I think there's a lot of value in participating in university societies and then getting the experience as a result of that. I'll talk about student jobs, because that shouldn't be underrated, right? And in some cases, individuals have to pay their way through university with a student job, which is sometimes I meet individuals who are very frustrated by that, in that they want to be doing other types of work, but they feel they're forced to make sure they're paying, for university for obvious reasons. So I'll talk through that. There's a lot of benefit to the standard student jobs, but I'll talk about how you can present those to employers in the best possible way. And if you're doing a student job at the minute, what you can do to really improve that experience. I'm going to come on to networking as a skill and an approach and a methodology. So I'll talk through connecting with existing students, course colleagues, and so on. Going beyond this, is really important to go just beyond your domain, your faculty, if you like. I'll talk about university events, leveraging the career fairs, those kind of activities, career teams. Don't forget professors, lecturers, PhD students. All of these guys and girls, they have so many connections. How can you leverage those, right? And then student societies as well, although we'll have touched on that a little bit. I'm then going to look at networking beyond universities. And I think that's a really important aspect, again, missed or sometimes underappreciated by many. Don't forget home, right? Don't forget friends, relatives, neighbors that might own local companies. Any of these kind of connections that you could be leveraging. Think about neighbors, for example, who might work at a target company for you, or who might have a connection that works at a target company. Any door that you can open, any connection that you can make that can really push your career forward, especially in the first instance, is really important. So I'll talk through that. Then I'm going to come to additional studies. And that is also somewhat unpopular when I'm talking this through. I think because students are already up to here with learning and so on. But this is sometimes the best. It can be the best time to be stuffing your brain full of all the stuff as well. I'm not advocating forgetting or foregoing attention on your primary studies, but at the same time, I want to say, look, your brain and your energy and your capability at the moment is the best it's going to be, right? The absolute best. So I would use that now. For example, programming, right? Teach yourself programming. I don't mean become an engineering expert necessarily. I just have some awareness, right? Try it out, play with it, because we do live in a technology world. This is the time to be thinking about, can you do a project management certificate? Can you go and do a course in Agile PM? What else does your university offer? What other things are they offering as skills or opportunities or certifications that you can also be taking right now? And often I see these being offered, but students going, I'll do that later. Sometimes later never actually happens, because once you're in the work environment, it gets very, very busy very quickly. So give some thought to that. I'll talk through that, and then I'll close off the course with a summary. Look, shall we get started? Let's go.